Chris Elliot making his way down the hall.
Chris Elliot on our show.
From, I know him from Letterman, of course, from when we were growing up. No joke. I mean, he goes way back with Letterman. You know Letterman's going to be 65 this year?
Longest running host in history.
They got a big article on him turning 65 in the paper today. I'm not sure when his birthday is, but the big 65 for Letterman. Chris Elliott, first time on our show.
There he is.
What's up, Chris?
How are you? Hi.
Good. How you doing?
Welcome to the program. Opie, Anthony, Jim Norton.
And the wonderful James Norton. Jimmy Norton.
We were just talking about Letterman because there's a huge article in the paper today that he's turning 65.
Yeah, on
Damn.
the 12th, right?
On the 12th, is it?
You better
Thursday.
remember.
So a couple days.
I got to send him something. But he probably shaves a few years off that.
You think, yeah.
Oh, you think he's more than 65?
He's been doing this for a while. He's got to be like 70 at this point.
He's in his 70s.
Doesn't everybody kind of shave off a few?
I probably should. I don't, but I probably should.
I try to shave a few.
It doesn't work after a while.
After a while, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Chris, it doesn't work after a while. That's right, because then people come up to you and go, fuck, you look like shit.
Yeah, after a while.
And then you give them your real age, like, no, I'm really this
people
old.
like get plastic surgery, that's the best way to hide your age. Not because you look younger, but because you just can't tell at that point where their age is.
Right. Yeah, it just becomes a mess.
Yeah, it's just this ugly, stretched thing.
It's a distraction. Like, they don't even care what your real age is anymore. It's like, what did you used to look like?
Who's the worst, Kenny Rogers? You don't see a lot of guys getting the over-the-top plastic surgery. Kenny Rogers is brutal.
Yeah, he doesn't look
Rogers
like him
really
anymore.
Awful.
Joan Rivers is pretty bad.
Yeah, but I mean, you expect that. A lot of females
But
get
Joan
the over the
Rivers,
top.
actually, I think on TV, like some people just on TV, it looks horrible. I think she actually looks good on TV.
Right.
I was on a plane with her once and up close.
Not
it's
so
like,
good.
You know,
Not so good.
But like on TV, it's like, oh yeah, okay, it passes. It's
Right.
like those hair replacement things too. Look
Right.
good, like on TV.
On TV, but
Yeah,
not
on
in person.
TV.
Yeah, but if you're like sitting next to the guy, you can see exactly what's going on.
Who do you think's a horror show?
In terms of the
The-
facial
yeah.
stuff? Well, what that Catwoman for sure, whatever.
Oh, Wildenstein, what was her name?
Yeah.
She was.
But she looked kind of weird before she even started doing stuff too.
She had like
She
a
had,
big, looked like an African tribal mask.
Yeah.
That she had on.
Yeah.
Really strange.
But
Who
I
is
mean-
she?
She's
you
like a just a
Socialite.
socialite.
Oh, right.
Debutante
One of those
socialite.
famous for nothing people.
New York socialites that made all the media with her looks. She
I'm
tried to
sca-
make herself look like a cat for a while there.
I'm scared that I at some point will think, oh, I should get plastic
Something?
surgery. I should get a little something done, a little
Just
fresher up.
a lift or a little tuck
Yeah.
or something, and then
You look good in person.
Yeah, you look the
Thank you
same.
very much.
You look like shit on TV, but in person, Jesus. So you go the other way.
I do, but that's that's part of my charm. It's looking like shit.
I don't even know
Charm.
Chris Elliott. I'm taking shots.
What was your first Letterman? What year?
It was on the first show of Letterman.
Wow.
Yeah, which was I don't know what. Was
I
that
think
81 or
I want to say
82?
82, but
damn, yeah, that's a while
you were on
ago.
Letterman's
It
first show?
I was on the
That's 30
first
years
late
ago.
night, not the first morning show. It
Yeah.
was they were doing a tour of the studio, and they came into the control room, and there was an Oktoberfest going on in the control room, and I was in lederhosen and drinking a beer. That was the first time. But the first time I talked, it's true. I was playing garbage on the show, which I always like to point out. That was my start in show business. Was I got to come out it was an urban disguise for New York City, and it was like, if you want to be safe in the city, here's our
like
urban
camouflage
disguise.
kind of a
Yeah.
thing, right?
And it was a total garbage suit, and I came out, and my whole face was covered in garbage. I didn't say anything. I just modeled, and then that night when the show was broadcast out on the East Coast, as soon as I came out, for some reason the show was blacked out. The tape operator down on 2 or whatever pushed the wrong button, and by the time he pushed the right button, I was gone.
Oh man! So you were waiting.
So I had told everybody to watch, and then but Dave had me on the next night in the same outfit, except you could see my face,
Right.
And he asked me, how I felt, and I said I was devastated, and I got a couple of laughs off that. He asked me what people in the audience had told me, and I said that they had said it was the funniest thing they had seen in North America, and he laughed at that, and that was the first time that I said anything on the show.
But how did you get involved originally? What put you in that control room for that
I was hired as a runner on the show.
Okay.
I was hired. I had worked at PBS as a production assistant, and there was like a writer's strike going on.
Sounds exciting.
Yeah, it was really exciting for a show with Hotting Carter. I met the guy who had been associate producer on Dave's morning show, who was moonlighting over at PBS, and he told me about this new show that was starting up, and there was this job for a graphics coordinator where I would just, find photos and stuff off AP. And I thought, oh, that's going to be a step up from what I was doing. And I actually quit my job at PBS because it was pretty sure I was going to get this job. And I went over for my interview, and Barry Sand, who was the producer at the time, said that job had been taken already, and that all they had was a runner for $200 a week, which was less than what I was getting at PBS.
Wow.
Yeah.
You had the best skits too, man.
Oh, thanks, man. That's nice.
No, I'm
nice.
serious.
I mean, they were great writers back then too, and still are. I still think it's like the funniest show on the air.
Kind of ahead of your time too, I think.
Well,
people weren't doing outrageous stuff.
But I mean,
that.
people had done weird shit like that on Steve Allen's show
Nah,
and
but
stuff like that.
I
There were
thought-
always guys like doing
But
these
I always
little
felt
characters.
I felt like you took it to the next level though.
I was trying to do. That's really nice. I mean, I was always the joke with me was always that I'm this staff member who's desperately wants to be on television and be a star, but he's not particularly talented.
Right.
And there was a lot of truth to that. That is exactly what I was on that show. I was just this guy trying really hard every day to get my face seen. And Dave, right from the start, he thought I was this goofy guy and just like put me on the air.
So he liked you from early on.
man, yeah.
He did, but it was it was a small group of people back then when the show first started. It was just it was a real like skeleton crew of people, so it was easy to get some FaceTime with him. It's a lot harder now, but he took a liking to me right away.
He's a very private guy, huh?
Very, very private, and
You just don't know much about him except every once in a while he gets a headline.
Yeah, something will pop.
But
Yeah.
besides that, you don't really know what he's about.
and he's gotten more and more so, But I guess like Carson was sort of that way too, for sure. Who he idolizes. And
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like kind of the.
Did you ever do
deal.
Carson?
I did it when Jay hosted once.
Oh, okay.
And I did it not when it was the Johnny's Tonight Show, but he wasn't there.
Aw.
Yeah, I never did it with.
I always kind of like doing The View without Barbara Walters.
Yeah, you kind of would want to, like, you were on Carson, you kind of want Carson to be there.
I know. Yeah.
Because that's a
He
huge
did.
thing.
We did. Some shows at late night out in. I remember we traveled out to Burbank, did some shows at NBC there, and Carson was a guest on the show, and I just remember just the feel in our studio, which was just thrown together for us when he was like near. It wasn't even like he was there yet. You just knew, oh, this presence is
Huge.
about to come in, and that king shit sort of aura, is something I think Dave actually, has himself. Yeah.
So when you guys went out there, Dave had him as a guest on his show.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
It was awesome. It was pretty cool.
He's one guy I never met. I wished I had. I mean, you always heard good stories and you heard bad stories about Carson. I heard he was really tough to get to know, and I've also heard he was really great with. But when you watch him interview people, it's like you don't realize that people told him in advance what to talk about. Like, he would ask questions, you'd be like, how the fuck did he know that? But you never thought,
right?
How did he know that they were in Aruba?
Right.
Like, it was such a natural. It was
it's sort of like J. Edgar Hoover, like a guy like that just sort of knew everything about you. You had that feel, and I sort of get that with Dave too. It's just like
Dave's a great interviewer,
and Dave is, and Dave doesn't. The thing about Dave is he's so great with comedians. He does not want a comedian to bomb. He doesn't want a comedian to fall. If a joke, lays there, he has a way of just like picking it up and and he can sense that it's not going to work almost, and he's already right on top of it with But anyway, what I was going to ask you about, it's pretty amazing to watch him.
Yeah, that's what keeps things moving instead of
because I've done
awkward.
all the guys, and they're all great, but that's one thing that is amazing that he does, that you always know you're going to be taken care of there.
Have you had any appearances that you wished were better over the years?
on Dave?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, just about every fucking time I go on the show. No, I'm pretty hard on myself. I mean, I'm never happy with any of the stuff that I do, but there have been plenty of times. I used to do Brando on the show, Marlon Brando, and I can remember Dave like had a thing, especially back then, about any kind of pause, any kind of, if you were, not filling it with a laugh or a joke. And I can remember him actually giving me the hurry up signal under the desk while I was acting as Brando. And,
oh, that's bad.
But in general, it always seemed to work. He always seemed to get something out of, make something work. But there were plenty of things that I've tried that just bombed just horribly. But with me, half the time the audience isn't laughing. Half the time they're just kind of like scratching
wondering
their heads
what the hell's going on.
What the fuck is he doing?
Yeah.
And that's sort of part of it, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, I think so. A lot of people are bringing up their favorite moments.
No, that's nice.
They want to know if you ate the dog food.
You know what it
Philly.
was?
Yeah.
It was cold corned beef hash. It wasn't dog food. Whenever I eat this shit on shows, the prop people think that they're going to do me a favor by finding stuff that tastes better than the actual shit that I have to eat. And I just did Conan, and I drank, I said I needed some Jack Daniels, and I pulled out and accidentally I got in Jack Daniels barbecue sauce. And I had to gulp it down. And the prop people thought, okay, well, we'll get him something he can swallow. And they got me V8 juice mixed with black dye, and that's what I had to down. And I seriously would have preferred the barbecue sauce. I could have done that, but that was corned beef hash. And then when I drank peanut oil, that was actually apple cider. Which sounds okay, except I had to do it several times and had diarrhea for like a week afterwards.
Can you do spicy stuff?
If it was spicy, I could do that. I love spicy stuff.
What's the spicy? There's a pepper where they'll give. There's some place that gives you $50,000.
It's the ghost pepper, right?
If you could, I don't know the name, but there's a place that will give you $50,000 if you can finish the sandwich.
Yeah, it's the ghost. I think that's what it's called, the ghost pepper. I watched that show that guy who tries to eat these huge things on Food.
Oh the guy goes to those restaurants
and he's always
the whole
making
steak.
Have you noticed though that he doesn't do that anymore? It's like he stopped.
Went to his doctor.
He got too many. Yeah, he either went to his doctor or too many complaints from viewers saying this guy's going to die on camera. Because now it's like he has a team of people trying to eat the biggest hamburger. It's not him anymore.
I saw him once eating a steak, like one of those giant friggin' pieces of cow. And he goes, oh, I'm getting the meat sweats. You get meat. It's like that can never be good for you.
You've never had the meat sweats?
No,
I've had meat sweats.
It's like so much sodium and
go to the
shit
Brazilian steakhouse. You'll get the meat sweats. I'm
meat
telling
sweats
you.
it sounds like something that happens right before you die.
Yeah,
like before he had the meat sweats.
Or right before you have to take a massive dump.
That's when your kidney fails or the meat sweats.
Yeah, organ
that's
failure.
a sign.
Vital organ failure follows
you really
meat
have never
sweats.
sweat from eating too much meat or something?
It's brutal. Do you smell like? Is that sweat like sort of meaty?
You would think it's a meaty,
sort of
gravy-like sweat
sort
that's
of
coming out of you. Reddish, blood, like the blood when you push down it with a fork.
It is probably more the salt. It's like when you eat too much pizza, you get that. You get like the back of your neck, like every crink in your neck is just fucking sweaty and almost itchy.
Well, I've gone on that protein diet a few times, which actually works. It actually works for me. But
Atkins,
the Atkins thing. But I go on one that they actually have it for like obese people. I think for surgery.
But the Hoyt
it's basically the Atkins diet. But it's like a couple of fried eggs and bacon, for breakfast, and a hunk of steak for lunch, and as much chicken as you want for dinner. And I like go crazy the first week on that. I'm just I'm buying like the biggest, thickest steaks that you can possibly imagine. But it actually, it's work, but you do start to feel like a little woozy after a few days.
My buddy Adam Ferrara, he was on that for a while and literally passed out once. Yeah. It's something that you can't just eat protein. You need some other shit.
Some carbs are healthy. You just can't fucking eat. You just can't eat them in abundance.
Right.
That was my way of saying everything in moderation without being a total douchebag.
You sounded like grandma right there. Not in abundance.
Yes, can't you have 1 or 2 pieces of bread? Yeah, I really am a fucking douche.
You should have a health show. You should have
everything in moderation.
From your mouth to God's ears.
I should just shut the fuck up. On the plane last night, I'm like, they're like, do you want fruit or do you want the chicken? I'm like, can I have both? And I had the fucking cheese. What a pig. keg I was on the plane.
Were you in
Everybody's
first
sleeping.
class?
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, you know what they say: if it's at 30,000 feet, you're not really eating. Right.
First class food sucks now.
It typically is
it's
not.
not any better than what they used to give in Coach.
No.
Which now is a box that you pay for.
I'll actually get those meals sometimes. I'll actually pay for the
Can
box
you do
meals.
that? I
Yes.
was actually thinking that the other day. I was, of course, also in first. And, but they said, what the meal was going to be. And I was like, oh, fuck, can I just give them $10 and give me the turkey wrap or whatever the hell is the poor people
Or on
are eating?
Continental now United, they have the tapas box. TAPPAS. And it's a little box you open and it's got fucking hummus and a couple of other little crackers.
Tapas sucks.
No, but that's just the name of
It's
the
a little
box.
bite of
get that.
everything. It's like, how about just give me one
is that
nice
what that is?
meal? Yeah, tapas means a little sample.
Oh.
It's good to hear you say that because that's one of the things that people say, yeah, it's a tapas bar. And I'm just like, ugh, I don't want to go there. I don't want to sit and have, and it's like, I don't like also a chef's taster's menu or something at a restaurant where you just have to sit there and let them bring out the,
How do you know what I
eel
want?
and
Stop.
Yeah. And I don't like sharing.
No, I don't like that either.
I like getting my own stuff.
I'm not a sharer.
I don't like share. Get this for the table. No.
It's always you want to try. That means you want to try mine. No, we don't share.
You don't like family style.
No,
That's
I hate
family
that.
style.
Fuck family
It's funny. I can
style.
just see this conversation. You fast forward 5 minutes. I don't like Jews, and goddamn it, I don't like gays.
Jesus Christ.
It just gets itself
Seriously. I could spin out of control with this shit so easily.
Well, we would have just went there, but we don't know you yet, so we figured we'd soften it up a little bit.
I was actually surprised how soft everything is so far. We haven't gotten into it yet.
No, that's for sure. And Jimmy kind of started things rolling right there, but
I just want to acknowledge, Chris Elliott's father's Bob from Bob and Ray. And,
That's right.
And your freaking daughter's on SNL.
My freaking daughter's on SNL, and my other one's
Doing great.
doing stand-up and has a really funny Twitter thing that she does that she's getting noticed on.
Do you like that your daughter does stand-up?
It's so beyond my realm of understanding anything with her. She was always so shy. She actually, Abby was always really out there and really, we always knew, okay, she's going to go into it. Bridie was always really, really shy. More like me, actually, when I was a kid. So I don't know. It might just be her way. It's like going in a shark cage and seeing a shark. It's her way of just facing demons and whatever. But she's really, really funny when she does it. And her Twitter stuff is
What's her Twitter? We'll get us some followers today.
At Bridie Lee.
How do you spell that?
BRIDEYLEE. And it's I don't do Twitter, but I'm amazed
You'd
when
be
I
good
look
at
her.
it.
I guess I would. It seems like work to me.
oh right, you're writing.
No, but it doesn't.
I'm writing.
I mean, you guys do it, I know, but it's to me, it just seems like, oh shit, I got to get up and think of something funny for people.
Mine just
to
degrade
see,
into
know.
drunken racism at night. Fuck it, right? If they were white.
Well, I mean, it's sort of like for me the same reason I wouldn't want a gun around the house too. It's just like if I had a few to drink, I might get on that Twitter thing and start,
talking about
my old high school buddies.
Yeah. I'm starting to realize there's no point to Twitter. What is this?
There's no end game.
There's no end game.
No.
What's the payoff?
I think
Except
people
are ripping off your jokes. So
Right.
what's the payoff?
People are going to be doing their final tweet on their deathbed.
But everybody says, oh, you got to do it, and I'm like,
You should do it.
I know, and
Twitter
I,
needs
you
a
You would
Chris
be
Elliott.
good, yeah.
I just don't know that I can do it on my Motorola flip phone.
Well,
I need to get something.
What,
That
you got a
actually
Razor?
has I have the old Razor. I need to
You
have
don't
something
feel like
that,
you need an
StarTech?
iPhone or
I do
a
actually.
Droid?
I do feel that now.
All right.
Twitter's good, I think, to promote stuff, but you can't just promote on it because it turns people off. But if it's fun because you get an immediate reaction. If there's something you want to talk about, instead of calling the one dumb friend, you can just blast it out there, and you kind of feel like you get it off your chest. It's satisfying.
But how do you promote something without sounding like a dick on it? Like, watch me tonight on, that's just.
I think people give you a little of that.
They give you a little
They'll
of
give
that.
you a little of
sure.
that as long as it's not. As long as that's not all you're doing with your Twitter.
Because they want to know what you're doing.
That's the difference, I think.
As long as it's
To be honest, that's the only reason I would do it. No, but I mean, I've got a book in the fall, and they're saying, oh, well, you're going to have to be on Twitter for that. And I'm like, well, I don't,
It is
little
fun.
excerpts. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing on.
When people follow you and you're making them laugh, once in a while you throw out a plug. They're cool because they want to know about your book. But guys that overdo plugs fucking stink.
Right.
Every time you read, it's like, hey, catch my show. You're like, ugh.
Right.
Why, you're not entertaining here? Why would I go see you there? So there's a balance, you know, and you want to pick up more fans that way because people retweet you, and if it's good, and people follow you, and they wind up liking your shit.
Yeah, I guess I got to get with it.
We should at least mention why you're here.
Yeah, that would help. He's
I know. Chris has done so much stuff with his career.
Eagleheart. It's season 2 premieres Thursday. It's on midnight. It's at midnight. It's on the Cartoon Network. It's a part of Adult Swim. And how long have they been in existence? Because they're doing really, really well.
How long? I don't know how long Adult Swim's been in existence, actually, or the Cartoon Network.
I would say at least 10 years.
Did not even know where to find them until I was doing a show on their network. But they're doing well. I mean, the Adult Swim end of it is, is live action, stuff at I guess 10 o'clock or something. They switch over to that. So this is a live action show, and it's the funniest thing I think I've done since Get a Life. So I'm pretty happy with it.
And people loved Get a Life.
And people still love Get a Life.
Absolutely.
And who do you play on this? What exactly is this?
I play a U.S. Marshal, but there's no. I mean, it's basically that's just a reason to put me on. Have me doing a job, and it's me and Brett Gelman, who's a funny actor, and Maria Thayer, and we're marshals. But it's a real surreal, very violent show. And it's only 15 minutes long, so you don't have to sit through a lot of shit.
That's great that they do stuff like that. It's just a weird time, weird length for a show.
That's kind of like the way old TV used to be. I mean, my dad actually had an old, he had like a 15-minute TV show, back in the late 40s, early 50s. They did that kind of stuff, and they don't do it anymore on networks. And I think it's actually really cool. And for me, it's perfect because it is sort of, it's a little bit longer than the kind of bits I used to do at Letterman, so it fits pretty well for me.
Can they extend your show if you ever want to do like a 25-minute show, or are they married to 15?
We've actually tried a couple of times to get it to 16 minutes because it was really hard to lose a really cute look of mine or something. But no, they're pretty much. I mean, I think the show moves so fucking fast. It's like you have to watch this show. You have to just stare at the monitor, the TV, the whole time you're watching. If somebody comes in and asks you a question, you got to say you miss something. You miss a whole plot point. And so I think if you had it a half an hour, you'd have to slow it down, and it wouldn't be the same kind of show. I think half the laughs are because it moves so fast.
The fact that it's moving so quickly. Are there commercials during it or no?
No, the commercials are all at the end. It's actually, I think, an 11-minute show.
An 11-minute show.
Yeah, I think ultimately that's what it is.
I would love
you
to
watch
do
it
that.
straight through.
That'd be great if we came in here for 11 minutes and just went
fucking
home.
exhausting.
I know. It would only be
exhausting.
It would only be 7 minutes of filler. If you do a show like that, when you write a show like that, you don't write the same way as you would write a half hour. Like, do you write for a beginning, a middle, and an end in 11 minutes? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I'm only consulting on this. I'm not even writing it because I didn't want to have to be there in the meetings and do extra work. But they basically write it. That doesn't have any, like most half-hour shows have a B story.
Right.
Yeah, they usually have the secondary character story or something going on. It doesn't have that. It can't because there just isn't enough time.
Sometimes those are great, and sometimes there's too many forced interactions. Like, you don't want to have the interaction, but you kind of have to because you have the B story, and the A story will sometimes suffer if it's really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, do you watch a lot of TV? Do you watch
Not anymore. I used to, obviously, with All in the Family and all those great shows, but not anymore. I mean, I haven't seen a lot.
Not a lot of good stuff.
No.
Well, it's weird. It's like I can't watch TV, comedies on TV, just because it sort of feels like it's work, or it sort of feels like that's the world I fly out to LA to work in. But
and most of them are terrible anyway.
And a lot of them are terrible. I do watch.
What's one you like?
Comedy wise. Yeah. And again, I've only seen it every now and then. Is like Parks and Rec actually does make me laugh when I've watched it, and a lot of times it's on a plane, that I'll be watching it going out there. But that one makes me laugh. I've been doing How I Met Your Mother, and it's written by former Letterman writers, and I think there's some really funny stuff going on that show too. But I don't watch any of them, regularly. Mm-hmm. I actually think Everybody Loves Raymond was like the last sort of show in that kind of All in the Family genre, that was just kind of just straight out like a one-act play, like All in the Family was. That like took place like in a living room, in front of an audience, and you just sat there and watched it, for the whole 20 minits or whatever.
They didn't have B stories in All in the Family, really, did they?
No, it was, but they rehearsed that thing and had the timing down to the point where you were just watching like a little play. Mm-hmm. But I watch mostly, like HGTV and that History Channel and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I find my attention span for like reading stinks now, and I can watch TV shows, but unless I'm in I like Game of Thrones and I actually like Boardwalk Empire.
Yeah.
But I can't even get into that many long shows.
That's why these 15-minute shows, I think you're going to start seeing more of them because we
you're
are
right.
losing our attention span.
It's true. It's true. And also just like even though when I'm watching those documentaries, like I'll watch, like World War II documentaries, or I'm a Hitler fanatic for that kind of shit.
I watch those,
but
all
I
the
don't.
time,
I don't
so.
retain it. Like a week later, I'm trying to think. Okay, well, what exactly happened there? And what was that? And I
he
have
was
to,
wrong. Why?
Yeah, I have to watch it again to and I realize my retention abilities are really bad now at this point in my life. Maybe it's my age. I don't know.
Well, it's also because we're getting so much information. It's like you get so much, your brain has to make quick decisions on what to keep, and you're like, oh, it's like, oh yeah, that's right. There's an open sore. Don't fuck that person. Like that's something the brain will keep forever.
Also, we're lazy. We don't have to remember anything anymore.
Right.
We talk on this show all the time. You used to have to know people's phone numbers and all this shit that you don't need to anymore.
Yeah,
you don't really have to
just
memorize anything.
It's
all on
true.
your phone.
And you can fucking just look it right up, or what do you do? Google.
So I think
Is
that part of
Google.
our brain is just fucking lazy.
And who said
It
that
got fat.
Google will anticipate what we want, so we won't even have to
Oh
remember
boy,
it?
that could be scary.
Yeah.
Let's slow down that technology,
Yeah.
please. Can you imagine?
Yeah, I'm constantly looking up transmissions by accident. Oops. But yeah,
that is something that that whole thing. That's shit that like I did not have to deal with when I was doing what like Abby's doing, what Bridie's starting out to do. And is having like just the whole world just commenting on your shit afterwards right away.
Immediately.
So you can,
Immediately.
While it's happening, practically.
Yeah.
That's I don't I know it happens to me now when I'm doing stuff, but I don't really I'm not that into it, so I don't like go right away and see what's.
You had to search out a
saying.
review in a paper or a magazine back then.
Yeah,
when you
exactly.
were coming up.
And it was a big deal. It was a big deal to like wait till that thing came out, and oh, okay, when that comes out, everything is gonna roll after that. But
did you ever read a devastating review about yourself?
well,
Jesus,
I mean, no.
Devastating. I like devastating.
But I mean, that really got to him, or do you? Because some guys don't give a shit that
where
much.
you've never recovered.
I think like when Cabin Boy came out, that was when the most devastating reviews came out,
Oh,
and
man.
I think there was something that just said, like, well, at least the trailer was funny, and that kind of thing, like, hurt me. But in general, I've never, been a particular darling of anybody's reviews. So.
What's your thoughts on Cabin Boy? Because that is a
I
movie.
stand
a lot
by
of,
that movie. I think
You
it's
do?
a funny movie. It's bizarre. It's weird, but it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be what it is. Just a weird little movie, and it is little. It's only like 88 minutes long. But it's a flawed movie for sure. It's not a perfect movie, but I watch it every now and then. It's on cable, and I'll watch it. I think it looks pretty freaky, and it moves, and it's
Does it have its cult following?
it does have a cult
It does.
following now, which is great. I think at the time it just was like it was a Tim Burton produced thing at Touchstone Disney, and it got this big release for some reason, and it shouldn't have. I think it should have just been this small movie that people tried to find.
Kind of found on their own.
Yeah. But I don't regret it. I regret a little bit that I was so stupid I didn't realize, oh, well, if that one bombs, I'll just do another one. It didn't occur to me that, oh, no, that's not how it works. If your movie bombs, you're not handed another movie to do.
What was that movie where you had that fucked up hand?
That was a scary movie, too.
Right. That was so disgusting.
That was pretty gross, yeah.
But it was hilarious. Like, yeah, you're getting into everybody's food with your disgusting hand.
I felt bad about that afterwards, and I did actually, like a year later, go through a McDonald's drive-thru, and the girl there recognized me, and she said she's a big fan, and handed me her coffee with a really small hand.
Oh,
and
shit.
I felt, oh, God, I hope she didn't see that.
You got to think that, yeah.
I know, unless maybe she did and thought it was funny.
Thought it was funny,
I
yeah.
think
Make
you felt
fun of
bad.
her.
You felt bad because she touched your coffee with that little that fucking thing on the end of her wrist.
I didn't drink it. I said, thank you very much, and went to Burger King.
Don't forget about the love blisters from Something About Mary.
That's right.
Too.
Yeah.
The love blisters.
Yeah, that was actually.
Yeah.
Well, the
That's
Rash,
a great
I
comedy.
guess, was my. It is, and that thing's.
I
like,
love that movie.
That movie still holds up. It's not like dated. Like you watch it, and it's still like funny from beginning to end.
Yes.
And it was really funny. The script was really funny for that movie.
Because they weren't afraid to be mean or would be perceived as mean, which is great. I mean, sometimes humor is, and when you allow that to happen, it's fucking hilarious.
Right.
I feel like comedies are finally coming back. We had I don't know. What do you want to say? Like a 10-year period. Where
What's
it's a little
coming
rough.
with what? What's
I
bringing?
don't. I mean, even like Hangover and Bridesmaids, and you know, the more I watch Bridesmaids, I love it.
Right.
And
Right.
people have to say, "Well, it's a funny movie for women." It's just a funny movie. You know, they like try to lower the level on that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's like the Judd Apatow is sort of, you know,
The Apatow stuff.
the
yeah.
Apatow stuff has kind of taken, you know, what the Farrellys had done, you know, and they
right.
went. But the Farrellys, and I've said this before, they probably hate me for saying it. I thought they had sort of like reinvented kind of what Mel Brooks had sort of done too, you know, in Blazing Saddles to a degree, you know, and so yeah, you're right. It probably just comes in these blocks or phases where somebody comes in and suddenly is, you know, doing something different. Something About Mary was different. Nobody had seen that kind of comedy before.
She had a load in her hair.
Yeah, load in her hair, but
great.
also just having those guys singing, you know, in between bits, you know, in the trees and stuff.
Who were those
It's
guys
just
again?
like,
That was. Oh fuck.
yeah, I couldn't tell you.
Whatever.
They were great though.
We always talk about the '70s comedies where they just felt like not finishing them, like Blazing
Right.
Saddles. They just
Yeah.
decide not to finish the movie.
Or the ending was so.
That's what I mean by
stupid.
not
Like,
finishing it. It's like let's just do this and get out
Yeah.
of here. Caddyshack,
Caddyshack
same thing. A
was the
movie we
same
all
thing.
love, but the end of that movie is ridiculous.
I'm still like Young Frankenstein whenever that's on. I can.
Oh.
watch that.
Yeah,
It's still
yeah.
just like it. Also, it's just a really pretty movie to watch. It
Yeah,
just, you know,
yeah.
it's like cool to look
It looks
at.
good,
The
yeah.
music's cool in it. And
Loved Mel Brooks growing up. Loved his movies.
Terry Garr is unbelievable in that.
I'm hearing you have to go.
He's a busy
By who?
man.
Says who?
No, we're not just saying that.
We
Sometimes we do say that to get people out of here, but
No, seriously, I'm
think-
sorry if I do.
See
I
that
wish
chubby
I could
guy
say
right
it.
there?
Yeah.
Roland
Behind
on
you?
his phone, he's
Roland?
panicking.
Roland gets all.
Did we do the
freaked
show
out.
justice? I don't know.
It's called
You did, guys.
Eagleheart.
Thank you so much
sure?
for doing that. I appreciate it.
Eagleheart
And
season 2
I listened to
premieres
you guys,
Thursday?
you know, when you started on WNEW, and
Oh, God.
I was like, I remember like, so. Because I grew up on WNEW, and then they changed their format, and you guys came in, and then you were
it all up.
complaining about I think you called it like ass butt old music that you had to play.
Butt rock, I think.
Yeah, butt rock.
It was the evolution of rock and roll that they wanted us to do, even though we knew we were bringing the station to the next level.
It was so
like,
weird
fuck
because you were
this.
like so funny and doing all your shit, and then suddenly and now here's Steely Dan.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that was really weird to have to
It was
do.
a strange
yeah.
combination.
I don't know how
Yeah.
we made it because they all hated us there.
No, you had
it was
fans. See, that's what made.
but we didn't
made
have
you
fans
guys.
at first. We
Well,
had
you
to
had
find
fans. You had fans.
We had the
pretty
people that were
early
like,
on. You had people.
shut up and play the music.
no one's
It's
hearing
great
your
when you're doing
shit.
something and you think, you know, you're feeling good, you think you're rolling on something, and then you finish, you go into dumb Steely Dan, and then the phones are ringing, you're like, oh,
Cool, they're gonna
why don't you
comment.
shut up and play the music?
you know, you could have played 2 Steely Dan songs
God.
there if you didn't shut the fuck up.
Bring
Yeah.
back fucking insert DJ that used to play
Right.
music name.
Scott Muni was the only one. That
Was he a nice
Scott
guy?
so-
Was he
beyond
good?
cool. He sat us
that's good.
down and like kind of gave us the lay of the land.
And he's like I know where he is now. Yeah,
in a grave.
Yeah, yeah.
He's in a grave is where he
pretty
is.
much
Chris.
cold
Yes.
and that
Broadcasting from that
dirt
little
bed.
big fucking box in the.
It was one of those weird moments because me and Ann went on for the first time, and Muni actually stood outside the studio and he was looking in, and we're like, "That's Scott fucking Muni? Are you kidding me?"
Yeah.
And we did our first break, and he kind of nodded to us through the window and walked down the hall, and that was his way of saying, you know,
Well, that's like
I'm
that's
passing
getting the
the torch to
blessing
you
from
guys.
the Pope. That's like
Back then, it certainly
it
was.
was.
Certainly
And who else
was.
was there? Was Pete Fornatale still
Oh,
there?
oh,
Or-
God, yeah.
I don't know who you know, so I'm not.
I
gonna
don't know
say
any of
shit.
these guys. Kids, I'm out of show, but I got one foot in the past, one in the future.
These
I'm
guys
pissing
were
all
not
over the
nice to
president.
us. They were not nice.
Really?
No.
Oh, well, they were like mad that you guys were coming in and
Well, what they
taking over.
did back then was it was all about faxes.
Yeah.
So those guys would get faxes during their shows. Opie and Anthony suck. You guys got to get rid of them, and then they would hang them up in the studio.
Oh, yeah,
my
that was
God.
That's how bad
Oh,
it was.
The
Jesus.
wallpaper when we came in. Yeah.
How
like-
long were you there?
3 years, I think.
How
4
did you
years, I
last
think.
3 years there?
I
How
know.
did you-
I don't know.
Just with that kind of
I
shit
know
going
that
on.
was.
No, then those guys were all pushed out one by one.
But the last year, that's when you guys started getting even more like mad that you were even there, though. Too,
Yeah, that's
wasn't
true.
it? I mean, and that
We've
probably
always been
helped
mad.
shit.
Maybe we should shut up. We've always been mad.
Kids, I love you with all my heart.
Yeah.
I'm off now to Whore Eagleheart.
It's on. Let me plug it again.
Yeah.
Season 2.
Guys, thank you. That's really nice.
Premieres tomorrow. Oh, no, I mean Thursday at midnight. Cartoon Network is part of Adult Swim. Chris Elliot.
Come back and
Thanks,
see us,
guys.
man.
I'll come back anytime.
Run on.
I'd love to.
Yes.
Hold on. Hey, Fatso, get in here with the camera.
Chris Elliott, everyone. All right. Chris Elliott was cool, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, it was good. I'm sitting down yapping with him. Shitting and chatting.
Smash your face.
What did you learn on the Opie and Anthony show? You call me and tell me, what did you learn? I can only think of one way to start this game out. And that's with intern Jeff Spicoli. Intern Jeff Spicoli?
Yes.
I've given you a couple days off from this.
Yes.
But 2 days in a row, you learned nothing from the Opie and Anthony show.
Yes.
Because you didn't listen.
Yes. Well,
Because you weren't listening.
busy.
You weren't listening to the show. Now,
Yep.
I've given you a couple shows off. Then you had a nice 3-day weekend to rest that ever so important brain of yours.
Yeah.
You know, I know there's a lot of stress under it. A lot of responsibilities go along with an Opie and Anthony show internship, and you have to bear a lot of them. So, you know, you have a lot on your plate.
Yeah.
You finally had a day of rest.
Yeah.
After all that,
Do you want the sleeper first?
No.
No?
Let's let Spicoli start. Intern Jeff Spicoli.
Yes.
What did you learn on the Opie and Anthony show?
I learned.
And let's not make it something from the last 40 minutes. You've been here since 6, you know what I mean?
Well, I was gonna say I learned that Chris Elliott always plays somebody with a deformity. You know,
Why
like
is it?
Scary Movie 2, The Little Hand, the boils in Something About Mary, right?
Okay. Well,
Right.
that's, I mean, you learned that from his movies, not from
Well,
not from
right,
today's
well,
show.
you know,
That,
no, well,
And that's
I-
not true because he was a regular cameraman in Groundhog's Day.
yeah, and he's been
well,
on Letterman doing a lot of different stuff.
I
so.
realized it on the show, though. I learned it.
That
from
you
the
got
show.
information wrong.
What did you learn, Luke?
Well, I learned that Chris Elliott is a funny motherfucker, and he makes a great guest on O&A.
That he does. Thank you. Yes. Chris Elliott, he was a legend. He is a legend. He was in here. Eric, I'm assuming you're a big Chris Elliott guy since we've talked about how you when you were a kid, you were obsessed with Letterman.
Yeah. His bits on Letterman plus Get a Life. I was a huge fan of Get a Life.
And hell, now he's on Cartoon Network, and that's your shit.
That's my shit.
Yeah. Android Virus, what did you learn on the Opie and Anthony show?
I learned a couple things. I learned that Chris Elliott's daughter is on SNL. Didn't know that.
No, I didn't know that either until I was, researching him.
Thank God she looks like her mother, you know. And I learned that Troy Cron got a new nose. I thought he was just getting some shit cleaned out of his nose. I didn't think he was getting a complete whole nose job.
It was mainly a cosmetic surgery. Yeah, I don't know. It was pretty much all cosmetic, and while they were doing that, they cleaned some stuff out of it. Scott in Tallahassee.
I learned that Anthony's fake hair looked so good that it fooled Chris Elliott.
It was funny to hear Chris Elliott saying that it's like when people get fake hair and and it looks fine on TV until you sit next to him, and guess what? That's the difference. That's why Anthony has been spreading the gospel of he doesn't have hair plugs like some people say. No, that's the difference between individually placed follicles that are artistically implanted in the direction that the hair grows. You see the difference now, Scott?
That's right. It's his own hair.
That's right. From the harvest area. Thank you, Scott.